FishTankTV.com, Bros Aquatic Universe. What's up, guys? This is Brogan. Making a video today. Something I saw in the chat, or it wasn't the chat. It was a forum on pH. Just wanted to let you guys what I know about it and what's up with that. So, you know, you got your pH scale, right, which is 1 to 14. Well, 0 to 14. 0 being acidic. Acidic meaning like vinegar. Vinegar's acidic. It's not a 0, but it's like a 3 or something like that, or a 2, depending on the vinegar. But so that's your acidic, and then 14 would be alkaline, which is like bleach. I think bleach is like 13 or something like that. It's pretty close. It's actually pretty strong. 7 in the middle is neutral. So that means that it's neither acidic nor alkaline. And I mean, I could go into it. You know, I'm in college, chemistry, all that. It has to do with hydrogen atoms and whatnot. If you have more or less, and you know, it's kind of a long thing. But so your pH. First, I'll talk about how to lower it, how to raise it in your tank. Personally, I tested this tank when I first set it up and stuff, just to see what I was sitting at, and you know, then when I tried to do CO2, I tested my pH. But other than that, I don't really test it, and I actually have really high pH that comes out of my tap. But it hasn't been really a big issue. The only thing that I notice is my plants. They're not as hardy as I'd like to see. You know, it's not like they're like booming and rocking. Like, they're taking longer to get established. You know, they're not like thriving hardcore, but they're doing fine. So it's not really a big issue for me. I mean, I'd assume I could add chemicals and stuff, but I like my aquariums to be all natural, so I just kind of let it be. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so on the buffer note, right? So I've been talking to my, local fish stores, and they say that the pH in my city, has gone up, and it's like 8.0. It's ridiculous. But how pH works, with the buffers. So let's say the water coming out of your tap is 8.0. Well, my water treatment plant or whatever adds a chemical to the water that makes my pH go up to 8.0. And in order for me to lower my pH, first thing that I have to do is balance out that buffer, or that chemical that they added, which is called a buffer. So it's not like, and I have to bust that. Once I bust that, then it's really easy to lower or raise my pH, because then whatever buffer I'm adding is the top buffer. It's the top dog. It's the buffer that says what's happening. But until then, that buffer that they added, you have to bust that out. You have to, I guess you could say, bust the buffer, break that, or match it. Trying to think of a better word, but nothing's coming to mind. So, but a good example to kind of explain this. So let's say I'm trying to lower the pH on this, right? So let's say I take my buffer, right, which is a pH lower, and I add a cup of it, right? Well, my pH then drops from 8.0 to 7.8, right? So most people would think that it's a common rule to say that if I want my pH to lower 2 points, I can add a cup of my buffer. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because if I add another cup, what's probably going to happen is my pH is going to drop to like 6.8 or something like that, And that's because it took, let's say, 3/4 of a cup to be able to... Excuse me, I got the hiccups. It doesn't fail. But, so it took 3/4 of a cup of my buffer to break the buffer that was already in the water, right? So then the other cup, so technically it takes 1/8 of a cup to lower it 0.1 once the buffer's been busted. Does that make any sense? So if I add a cup, I'm looking at like a drop in 8 points instead of 2, because I already broke the buffer. I hope this is making sense. So when you're adding your buffer, you want to add a little bit at a time, and be testing your pH. Add a little bit, test your pH. Add a little bit, test your pH. And once it starts to drop, that's when then you can start to measure it, and until then you might add a little bit, it won't drop. You'll add half a cup of it and it won't drop. You'll add a whole cup of it and your pH won't drop at all. And then you add another teaspoon and all of a sudden your pH goes from 8.0 to 7.5. So you gotta add it slowly, and you can't just think that, well, I added a cup and it dropped 2 points, that's the general rule, because you're gonna end up screwing up your pH. But as far as products and stuff go, I kind of wanted to keep this video quick, but as far as products go, my favorite product for that would probably be C-Chem. I like a lot of C-Chem stuff. They make good stuff. But I like their pH buffers. Seems to be some of the best stuff. Probably some of the healthiest for your fish. So C-Chem, I'm not a fan of the what is this, API. I don't like a whole lot of the API chemicals they make. They make good test kits, but I'm not a fan of their chemicals. They don't seem to be, I don't want to say like they're not fish friendly, but they just seem to be kind of like, I don't know, the harsher of the two. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if that makes any sense. They're kind of, if that makes any sense at all. But so that's basically pH. And research your fish and your plants to figure out what they like. Different plants like different things. I have a pretty wide variety. Usually the general tank thing is about 7.2. That's pretty much where you want your tank to be. I mean, if you have specialized plants that like, most of your plants like 7.5 to, 7.7, then you should probably stick your pH at 7.6 or strive for that. But you don't have to have that. My pH sits at about 7.5, 7.6. And, most of my plants, I think, require about 7.0 to 7.2. So it does fine. My plants go a little bit slower, but hey, it's not a problem. So there's the tank. Show you guys what's up, what's going on. Look at that, man. There's my Julie eyes. These guys are becoming a little bit more friendly. I'm going to put them in my 55. Dang, you can't even see him. Punk. He's hiding behind the grass there. There he is. Julie-eyed Corey. But, yeah, he's like Dustin Sturbay's, man. They're scared of their own shadows, I swear. So we had some Amano shrimp that molted. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a shell right there. There's one in the back. See that right there in the back, right there? That's a shell from one of the Amanos. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, there he is. I love him. My crayfish. Love him, dude. He's so gorgeous. Like, I know the camera doesn't do it justice at all, but he has some amazing colors on him, dude. He's so cool. So cool to watch. Just like, ah! He's bomb. Love him. Loving it. Loving it. My auto cats, dude. These guys are loving it in this tank. I'm going to go get 4 more of those guys. So that way they got a big school. I guess they like to hang out in groups of 6 or more. I might do a species Sunday on them. I don't know. I like those. I like autos. I hate the fact that they don't breed in captivity. So, just to let you know, every single auto cat, well, I don't know. I'll save it for Species Sunday, I guess. Maybe I'll do that. Anyways, yeah, so that's pH. If you got any questions, guys, hit me up. Let me know. Latest.